In this lesson, we're talking about parallel lines cut by transversals and the angle pairs formed by parallel lines cut by transversals. So in this diagram, lines A and B are parallel, and we know that based off of the fact that there are arrow symbols. This line right here is called the transversal. So the first angle pair are corresponding angles, and the definition are angles that match. So for instance, angle 1 and angle 5 are both in the top left-hand corner. So think of these angles as a group and these angles as a group. These angle pairs are formed by one from the top group and one from the bottom. So another angle pair would be 2 and 6. Those are corresponding because they're both in the top right-hand corner. 4 and 8 are on the bottom left-hand corner. And 3 and 7 are also considered corresponding angles. The next angle pair are alternate interior angles. So alternate refers to the fact that the angles are on opposite sides of the transversal, and interior means they're both on the inside. So for instance, 4 and 6 are alternate interior because they're on opposite sides of the transversal and on the inside. 3 and 5 would be considered the other pair of alternate interior angles. The next angle pair are alternate exterior. So again, alternate meaning on opposite sides of the transversal, but since we're talking exterior, we're looking on the outside of the parallel line. So angles on opposite sides of the transversal on the outside of the parallel line. So 1 and 7 would be considered alternate exterior, as well as 2 and 8. The next angle pair are called same side interior. So same side mean that they are on the same side of the transversal, and interior means they're on the inside. So 4 and 5 would be same side interior, as well as 3 and 6. The next angle pair are same side exterior angles. Same side exterior are on the same side of the transversal, but both on the outside. So 1 and 8 are considered same side exterior, as well as 2 and 7. So going back to corresponding angles, the relationship that corresponding angles have is corresponding angles are congruent. So for instance, if angle 1 were 100 degrees, that would mean angle 5 would also be 100 degrees. Alternate interior angles are also congruent, which means they're equal. So if angle 4 is 75 degrees, that means angle 6 is also 75 degrees. Alternate exterior angles are congruent. So if angle 1 is 120 degrees, that means angle 7 would also be 120 degrees. Same side interior angles are supplementary, which means they add up to 180. So for instance, if angle 4 is 60 degrees, that means angle 5 would have to be 180 minus 60, which would be 120 degrees. And same side exterior angles are also supplementary, which means they equal 180 degrees. So same thing, if angle 1 is 120 degrees, that would mean angle 8 would have to be 60 degrees. So these angle pairs are either supplementary or congruent. The way that you can remember it is if they are the same side interior or same side exterior, they're supplementary. Otherwise, they are corresponding. All right, the next little bit of notes, I'm just going to do a few of them just to kind of show you. We want to find all the missing angle measurements, and for each one, we're going to explain how we determine that. So looking at angle, the only angle we have is 154. Based off of that, we should be able to find the other angle pairs using various angle pair properties that we know. So if I wanted to find angle 1, well, I know that angle 1 and the 154 degree angle are supplementary or linear pair, so I can find it by doing 180 minus 154. So 180 minus 154 is 26 degrees, and my explanation is I would say angle 1 and the 154 degree angle are a linear pair, so they have a sum of 180 degrees. Okay, now I'm just going to choose an angle from down here. So let's say if we're trying to find angle 7, so pretend that this was angle 7. Since we know angle 1 is 26 degrees, I now know that angle 7 is actually also 26 degrees because they are alternate exterior angles. So the measure of angle 7 is 26 degrees. And my reasoning is angle 1 and angle 7 are alternate exterior angles. And alternate exterior angles are congruent, which means they're equal. So there are many different ways you can answer these questions. I just want to go over a couple. We might use some of the angle pairs that we learned on the first lesson, which is supplementary or linear pair, complementary, and vertical. But we could also use the angle pairs that we learned in this lesson. All right, so now looking at a couple example problems. So number 1, we're going to use our knowledge of angle pairs created by parallel lines and transversals to solve for the variable in the following diagrams. We're going to show our work and justify using academic language. So first thing we need to do is identify what type of angle pair. So these are both on the inside, which means they are interior, and they are on opposite sides of the transversal. So these are alternate interior angles, which means that they are congruent or equal. So to solve, we're going to set them equal. So 8x minus 4 equals 6x plus 12. And now to solve, I'm going to choose a side for variables and a side for numbers. It doesn't matter which side you choose, and we're going to move all the variables to the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 6x. So I have 2x minus 4 equals 12, and now I'm going to add 4. So I have 2x equals 16, and then the very last step, divide both sides by 2. So I get x equals 8. We can always check our work by plugging it in. So 6 times 8 plus 12, which is 60. And we should get the same thing up here. So 8 times 8 minus 4. 8 times 8 is 64, minus 4 is 60. So that checks out because we know that alternate interior angles are congruent. So to justify using academic language, we're going to name the angle pair. So here's my justification. So these are alternate interior angles. So they are congruent. And then we're going to say to solve, set them equal to each other. So the academic language that I'm looking for here is the fact that you know that they are alternate interior angles as well as that they are congruent. All right, looking at number 2. So again, first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify the angle pair. So these are on the same side of the transversal, so they're same side. And they're on the inside, so they're same side interior angles. And same side interior angles are supplementary, which means they have a sum of 180 degrees. So to solve, we're going to do 11x plus 5 plus 25x minus 5 equals 180. So to solve, we're going to combine like terms. So 11x and 25x makes 36x. And then we have 5 and negative 5, which cancels out to 0, equals 180. And now to solve, we're just going to divide both sides by 36. So 180 divided by 36 is 5. So x equals 5. We could check our answers by plugging it in. So 25 times 5 minus 5 is 120. And we can plug it in up here. 11 times 5 plus 5. So that's 55 plus 5 is 60. And remember that these two angles should add up to 180, which they do, which is good because they're supplementary. So now we write our justification. Just like the previous one, we're going to state the angle pair. So these are same side interior. I'm going to abbreviate. And then the relationship, so they are supplementary. And again, I'm going to abbreviate. So to solve, add them, and set it equal to 180. So again, the academic language I'm looking for here is that you name the appropriate angle pair and you state their appropriate relationship. So same side interior and supplementary. All right, lastly, number 3. So this is one that everyone has trouble with because they want to say they are same side something because they are on the same side of the transversal. However, we can't say they're same side interior or exterior because one's on the inside, one's on the outside. So these ones are corresponding angles. They're both in the top left-hand corner. And remember that corresponding angles are congruent, which means to solve, we set them equal to each other. So 11x plus 11 equals 13x minus 7. All right, again, I'm going to choose a side for variables and a side for numbers. And I'm going to move all my variables over. So subtract 13x. So that's negative 2x plus 11 equals negative 7. And now I'm going to subtract 11. So I have negative 2x equals negative 18. And then divide both sides by negative 2. So x equals positive 9. We could check our answers by plugging it in. So 13 times 9 minus 7, which is 110. And when we plug it in up here, we should get the same thing. So 11 times 9 plus 11, so that's 99 plus 11, that's also 110. So we're good. We solved for x correctly. Now last thing we do is we write our justification. We state the angle pair, so these angles are corresponding. So they are congruent. To solve, set them equal to each other. All right, now I'm going to go over a couple of the practice problems. So first of all, starting with number 3, for these problems, we're finding the measure of each angle, name the appropriate angle pair, and the relationship between the two angles. So looking at number 3, we have this angle right here is 59, and we're looking for this one. So these angles are both in the top left-hand corner. These are corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are congruent. So that means the measure of the angle is 59 degrees. All right, number 8, we're going to solve for x. So these ones are supplementary, or same side interior, and that means they are supplementary, which means we're going to add them. So x plus 93 plus 103 plus x equals 180 degrees. So now I'm going to combine like terms, so that's 2x, and 93 plus 103 is 196. Now we're going to subtract 196 from both sides. So I have 2x equals 180 minus 196 is negative 16. and then we're going to divide both sides by 2. So x is negative 8. So x can be negative as long as when you plug it back in, it doesn't give you a negative number. So if we plug in negative 8 here, it doesn't give you a negative number, so that's okay. I'm going to skip the justification part. I would just use our notes as an example for that. Okay, so now number 12. These are corresponding angles, which means they are congruent. So to solve, we're going to do 6x minus 7 equals 5x plus 5. And now we solve. So I'm going to put my variables on the left, my numbers on the right. So I'm going to subtract 5x. So then on the left-hand side, we have x minus 7 equals 5. And then we need to move 7 over by adding it. So x equals 12. And we don't need to divide since we already have x by itself.